The city pulses with life, the skyline reflecting the ambitions of those who dare to dream. Among the towering glass buildings, power moves in unseen ways, favoring those who fit an unspoken mold. At Horizon Dynamics, a leader in the tech industry, innovation thrives, but the faces in its executive boardrooms remain uniform, polished, privileged, and overwhelmingly white. Maya Carter strides down the sidewalk, her heels clicking against the pavement, each step deliberate, unwavering. She has spent years preparing for this moment. An MBA from a top university, experience in corporate strategy, a mind sharper than most in the industry. She knows she belongs at the table. And yet, she also knows the reality. Talent alone is never enough when the people in power refuse to see it. She steps through the revolving doors of Horizon Dynamics, her reflection staring back at her in the pristine glass. The lobby is a sea of activity, sleek and sterile, filled with employees who glance up, then away. She walks toward the elevator, exuding confidence, refusing to let nerves show. This isn't just another interview. This is a test, a battle, between her ambition and a system built to keep her out. James Holloway sits at the head of a long conference table, his presence commanding in a way that has nothing to do with skill and everything to do with entitlement. His suit is tailored to perfection, his expression unreadable, save for the slight smirk that lingers at the corner of his mouth. He is the kind of man who sees himself as a kingmaker, deciding who is worthy and who is not. And he has already decided. Maya shakes his hand firmly, meeting his gaze with steady confidence. "Thank you for taking the time to meet with me." Holloway leans back, fingers steepled. "Of course, we're always looking for fresh talent." The words are polished, but there's something underneath them, something that tells Maya she has already been measured and found lacking. Still, she keeps her expression neutral. She has been here before, in boardrooms where she was the only black woman present, where every answer was scrutinized twice as hard. He glances at her resume, then sets it down without a second look. "You have an impressive background, but I have to ask, what makes you think you're the right fit for Horizon Dynamics?" Maya knows this game. The question isn't about her qualifications. It's a test, one designed to make her second-guess herself. She keeps her voice steady. "I have a track record of driving growth and restructuring businesses for success. My experience at Stratwell Global proves that I can lead high-stakes projects and deliver results." Holloway nods, as if humoring her. And yet leadership is about more than results. It's about culture, about understanding the values that drive a company forward. He pauses, then smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. "I'm not sure you'd be a good fit." The words hit like a slap, though he delivers them with corporate politeness. Maya knows what he's really saying. Not the right fit. The words are a well-worn excuse, a shield to hide behind. She keeps her expression neutral, but inside, something sharp and burning coils in her chest. "I see," she says carefully. "And what exactly makes me not the right fit?" Holloway exhales through his nose, a condescending chuckle escaping as he folds his hands. "It's nothing personal. We have a very particular work environment. Our leadership team functions like a well-oiled machine, and we look for candidates who can seamlessly integrate into that." Maya nods slowly. She has her answer. "Thank you for your time." She stands, shakes his hand once more, and walks out without looking back. Outside, the air feels colder. The weight of the rejection presses down on her. But it is not the rejection itself that stings. It is the certainty that she was never truly considered. Not because she lacked skill or experience, but because she was never supposed to be at the table in the first place. She walks through the city, the movement of people around her a blur. Doubt creeps in, whispering old fears. What if they're right? What if this is how the world will always be, but then something stronger rises beneath the doubt? A fire. She stops at a street corner, the glow of the traffic light washing over her face. The city stretches out before her, filled with possibilities, with power yet to be claimed. She clenches her fists, jaw tight. This isn't the end. This is the beginning. One day, she won't ask for a seat at their table. She'll own the whole damn building. Maya sat in front of her laptop, another rejection email flashing on her screen. The wording was always the same. We appreciate your application, but we have chosen to move forward with another candidate. She let out a slow breath, rubbing her temples. The same cycle, the same roadblocks. It wasn't her skills. It was something deeper, something they never said outright but was always there, lurking beneath the surface. She had done everything right. Ivy League education, years of experience, a portfolio that showcased her ability to transform struggling businesses into profitable ventures. Yet every executive position she applied for led to a polite dismissal. She scrolled through her inbox, scanning the trail of missed opportunities. Not the right fit, not the right culture, not at this time. She knew what those words really meant. The message was clear. Leadership wasn't for people who looked like her. The frustration boiled over as she picked up her phone and called Derek, the only person who ever gave it to her straight. Still no luck? He asked when he picked. Maya let out a bitter laugh. I lost count of how many times I've been rejected. I can do the job better than half of these executives, and they won't even let me in the room. There was a pause before Derek responded. Maya, why are you still trying to knock on doors that were never built for you? She frowned. Because I earned it. I worked my ass off for this. Exactly, Derek said. And what has gotten you? Closed doors. Look, I know you want to be part of that world, but they will never let you, so stop knocking. Build your own damn table. His words hit her harder than any rejection email. She didn't respond, but her mind was already working. For weeks, she tried to take his advice to heart, stepping into the world of freelance consulting. It wasn't glamorous. Small businesses, lower pay, a constant hustle to prove herself. Without a corporate name behind her, potential clients hesitated. Who is she? What companies has she led? The questions chipped away at her confidence. Bills stacked up. Savings dwindled. Doubt crept in at night when she stared at her computer, wondering if she had made a mistake. One night, she sat at her desk, staring at a spreadsheet for a struggling startup she had been temporarily contracted to help. Her ideas had boosted their revenue by 15% in 2 months. Yet when it came time to discuss a permanent role, the CEO had danced around the conversation, offering vague promises that never materialized. The next day, at a high-profile networking event, she felt eyes on her as she navigated the room. The faces were familiar, the same executives who had dismissed her. And then she saw him, James Holloway. He spotted her, smirked, and sauntered over. Maya Carter. Didn't expect to see. You here? She straightened her shoulders. I'm still in the game, he chuckled, shaking his head. Still hustling for scraps, I see. The words landed like a slap. Maya felt the heat rise in her chest, but she forced herself to stay composed. Funny, she said coolly. I thought this industry valued innovation, but I guess some people just like to keep things predictable. His smile didn't falter, but his eyes darkened. Good luck with that. And then he turned away, dismissing her just like before. Maya clenched her fists, swallowing the anger, the humiliation, the years of being told she wasn't enough. That night, she sat in her apartment, staring at her reflection in the window. She was done. Done asking. Done proving herself to men like Holloway. If they wouldn't give her a seat at the table, she would build the entire damn building. With every penny she had, she filed the paperwork for her company. Carter Strategies, a business consulting firm that wouldn't just advise companies, it would transform them. The first few weeks were terrifying. No steady income, no big clients, just a website, a vision, and sheer determination. She called old contacts, hustled for meetings, and pitched herself to every struggling company that would listen. Her first client was a small, family-owned business on the verge of shutting down. They hesitated at first. Who was she to save them? But she mapped out a new strategy, restructured their financial plan, and within months, they were thriving. Word spread. More small businesses, the ones overlooked by big consulting firms, started reaching out. And just like that, Carter strategies began to rise. Alicia Vega watched from the sidelines. She had seen Maya's rejection at Horizon Dynamics and had remained silent. Now, watching her old friend build something real, she felt the urge to help. But fear still lingered. Late one evening, she slipped a file into an envelope and sent it anonymously to Maya's office. It was a list of potential companies in trouble, the kind of firms Maya's strategies could save. A small push, a quiet show of solidarity. Maya realized something had shifted. She wasn't trying to prove herself anymore. She wasn't knocking on doors, hoping for approval. She was taking what was hers, and for the first time, the same firms that once ignored her were starting to take notice. Carter Strategies had become a name that couldn't be ignored. Within just a few years, Maya Carter had built a company that was not only profitable but revolutionary. She wasn't just consulting, she was saving businesses that others had given up on. News articles praised her methods, clients lined up, and executives who once dismissed her now sought meetings. She sat in her office reviewing numbers when Derek walked in, shaking his head with a smirk. "You do realize you just took another client from one of the biggest firms in the country, right?" Maya glanced up and chuckled. If they didn't want competition, they shouldn't have ignored talent when they had the chance. Derek grinned. "They see you now, that's for sure." Horizon Dynamics was crumbling under James Holloway's leadership. Profits were plummeting, investors were pulling out, and employees were leaving for better opportunities. The company had once been a beacon of innovation, but now it was outdated, struggling to keep up in an industry that demanded adaptability. The board of directors had grown restless. They had trusted Holloway, but trust didn't pay the bills. At an emergency board meeting, murmurs filled the room. The financial reports were damning, the projections even worse. Holloway stood at the head of the table, jaw clenched as the board members exchanged uneasy glances. "We need to act now," one of them said. "The company is hemorrhaging money. We could bring in outside help," another suggested cautiously. Holloway scoffed. "We don't need outsiders. We just need to adjust our strategy." An older board member leaned forward, steepling his fingers. "We've already reached out to Carter Strategies." Silence fell over the room. Holloway's face turned red. "You did what?" "We need results," the board member continued. "And from what we've seen, Maya Carter delivers them." Holloway slammed his fist against the table. "Absolutely not." "It's not your decision anymore," another voice chimed in. "We're bringing her in." Maya read the email twice, making sure she wasn't imagining it. Horizon Dynamics was inviting her to help restructure the company, the same company that had rejected her. The irony wasn't lost on her. She forwarded the email to Derek, who called her the second he saw it. "You've got to be kidding me," she smirked. "Not at all. Looks like they need me now." Derek laughed. "Are you actually going to do it?" Maya leaned back in her chair, thinking. "I'll hear them out." She walked into Horizon Dynamics with a confidence that made heads turn. Employees glanced at her, some recognizing her face, others whispering among themselves. She knew exactly where she was going. She had been in this building before, but back then, she had walked in seeking approval. Today, she walked in owning her space. She reached the boardroom and stepped inside. The same long table, the same heavy air of authority. But this time, she was the one in control. James Holloway's face was rigid, his eyes narrowing at her presence. The board members, however, looked relieved to see her. One of them stood. "Ms. Carter, thank you for coming." Maya nodded. "Let's get to it." Holloway leaned back, arms crossed. "I find it interesting that you think you can fix a company of this scale. Carter Strategies deals with small businesses. Horizon is on a different level." Maya met his gaze without hesitation. "That must be why you're struggling." A few board members exchanged glances, trying to stifle their amusement. Holloway's jaw clenched, but he said nothing. Another board member cleared his throat. "We need a solution, and fast. We want to hear your proposal." The room went silent. Holloway laughed, shaking his head. You can't be serious, Maya's voice remained calm. I am. Your leadership has run this company into the ground. If you want me to save it, I'm not just offering advice, I'm taking over, Holloway scoffed. They would never agree to that. Maya's eyes scanned the board members. Wouldn't they? The room was tense. The board wasn't looking at Holloway anymore. They were looking at her. She saw it in their eyes, the realization that she was the solution they needed. And profit always outweighed prejudice. One board member turned to Holloway. We need to consider the best option for the company. Another nodded. Maya has the track record. She knows how to restructure businesses for success. Holloway's face twisted with fury. You're actually considering this? The senior board member looked him in the eye. We're voting on it. The decision didn't take long. One by one, hands went up in Maya's favor. Holloway watched, speechless, as the company he once ruled slipped from his grasp. When the last hand was raised, the chairman turned to Maya. Congratulations, Ms. Carter. Horizon Dynamics is yours. Holloway pushed back his chair, his face red with anger. You'll regret this. Maya stood looking at him one last time. I already regret ever believing you had power over me. She turned, walking out of the boardroom as the new owner of Horizon Dynamics. The news spread like wildfire. Every major business outlet carried the headline, Maya Carter acquires Horizon Dynamics. The same company that had rejected her, the same boardroom that had dismissed her as not the right fit, now had her name at the top. Employees whispered in shock as they received the official announcement. Some were excited, others unsure of what this meant. But one thing was clear. The woman they once overlooked was now their leader. James Holloway sat in his office, staring at the press release, his hands clenched into fists. His reign had come to an end, and there was nothing he could do about it. The board had made their choice. He was summoned to the final meeting, not to lead, but to accept his fate. He entered the boardroom with the same arrogance. But this time, the power had shifted. Maya sat at the head of the table, calm and composed. She looked at him not with anger, but with certainty. The board has made its decision, one of the senior members stated. Effective immediately, Maya Carter will assume full control of Horizon Dynamics. Holloway let out a bitter laugh. So that's it? You're handing my company over to her? One of the board members leaned forward. James, the company is in free fall. This isn't about personal feelings. This is about survival, and the only person who can save it is Maya. He turned to Maya, his expression hard. Enjoy your little victory, but don't think for a second that you belong here. Maya met his gaze without flinching. That's where you're wrong, Holloway. I belonged here the first time I walked through. Those doors, you just refused to see it. He shook his head, disgusted, before pushing back his chair. You'll regret this, he spat before storming out. Maya watched him go, not with hatred, not with spite, but with the satisfaction of knowing justice had finally been served. She had nothing to prove to him. His time was up. This was her company. Now, the first order of business was rewriting the rules. Under Holloway's leadership, diversity had been nothing more than a buzzword. Now it would be a foundation. Maya called for an immediate restructuring. Promotions were given based on talent, not favoritism. New hiring practices ensured that every qualified candidate had a real shot, not just the ones who fit a certain mold. She walked through the office, meeting employees who had once felt invisible, acknowledging the talent that had been buried under years of bias. A young black analyst hesitated before approaching her. Ms. Carter, I just wanted to say this is the first time I feel like I actually have a future here. Maya smiled. You do. And so does anyone who's willing to work for it. Change didn't come without resistance. Some of the old executives scoffed at the shift, whispering that the company was losing its culture. Maya didn't care. The only culture she wanted was one where people earned their place, not inherited. Alicia Vega had watched it all unfold. She had spent years playing it safe, staying silent even when she had wanted to speak. But now, watching Maya rebuild the company from the ground up, Something inside her shifted. She walked into Maya's office one afternoon and took a deep breath. "I want in." Maya looked up from her desk. "In on what?" Alicia straightened her shoulders. "I've spent my career watching men like Holloway make decisions while I stayed quiet. No more. I want to help you build something better. I want to lead." Maya studied her for a moment before nodding. "Then let's get to work." Alicia became one of Maya's most trusted executives, mentoring young women and ensuring that no one else would have to fight the battles she and Maya had endured alone. The outside world took notice. The media called it the ultimate power move. Business analysts marveled at how quickly Horizon Dynamics was turning around. A journalist asked in an interview, "Ms. Carter, do you feel like this is a moment of revenge?" Maya shook her head. "No, this isn't about revenge. It's about proof. Proof that talent wins when given the chance." Her story became a symbol of possibility. Young black women, professionals who had been told they were not the right fit, now saw her as proof that they were. She had shattered the glass ceiling and built something entirely new in its place. The rebranded Horizon Dynamics stood tall in the city skyline. Reporters gathered outside the building as Maya stepped through the doors. Her name now the one on the walls, the one in every contract signed, the one in the hearts of those who had once been ignored. A reporter called out, "Ms. Carter, how does it feel to be here now as the owner?" Maya smiled, looking up at the company that once turned her away. "They didn't see me as a leader," she said. "So I became their boss.